Back to Sunrise Daily. Well, Dr. Austin Nweze of the Pan-Atlantic University joins us now to review some of those figures as being read out by Dr. Yemi Khaled, the Statistician General. Morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Morning, yeah.
Well, speaking about unemployment, I mean, this, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, I mean, a lot of people speak about what needs to be done, how we need to approach it. But with that announcement, talking about the jobs that are created in the first quarter with the research that they conducted, does that point to anything that are we doing what we ought to do with the creation of these jobs?
Well, it's a good development because in the past, the Statistics Office never told us the number of or the unemployment rate or those who are looking for a job. I think I'm quite impressed with this announcement. At least we need these figures to plan. We need these figures to be able to say, okay, which areas are providing these jobs, so that we can make policies to make it, to improve and enhance that sector. And you can see that the informal, so-called informal sector is the one creating more jobs. And that's what we keep saying, that, look, the jobs, government cannot create jobs, and it is the entrepreneurship that creates jobs. And that's what they call the informal sector. And I think they should remove that, moving from informal sector and all that. Every business is an entrepreneurial business before it becomes a big business. And they should really focus on policies that will enhance that so-called informal sector, because that's where the jobs are created. And don't forget how important it is. Anywhere in the world, if the small businesses are not thriving, all the, tomato sellers and all that. I remember in 1993, the then military head of state, Babangida, made a comment. I think he woke up in the morning and he said that Nigeria's economy had defied all economic logic because there was a huge capital flight. Companies were leaving, and it was as if the whole economy collapsed. But it was still hanging in there. Which sector was responsible? It's not the formal sector. It was these small businesses. And we need to really, because it's the engine growth of any economy. So we need to begin to make policies that will make it possible for this sector to grow. And I keep referring to what senior Nigerian said. I think it was Ben Bruce, at a comment he made, that government has a way of using the right hand to give you a gift and use the left one to give you a life, and use the left hand to collect that life back from you. That's what is happening in the small sector.
How do you mean?
Now, and the thing is that they say, okay, we are encouraging small businesses. Now, the funds are not available for them to access. Taxes, the multiple taxation, and no small business can borrow, at the rate to survive.
But isn't that beginning to change? Or was it last week? Or I think it was last week that the president launched this National Council on Micro, Small and Medium Scale Enterprises. A lot of people thought that, voila, we finally have something, that is formally recognizing this micro businesses.
No, you see, because we're making a mistake. They will still ask you for an arm and a leg to get these loans. The thing is that we're making a mistake by setting, solving a problem by creating more problems.
How do you mean?
Now, until we begin to recognize the importance of venture capital firms, private equity firms, because these are the people that they have helped, create, finance businesses, encourage entrepreneurship. Take Israel, for instance. In Israel, as small as it is, they have close to almost 300, about between 240 and 300 venture capital firms. These are the people that they can understand risk. Banks, conventional banks, they're not set up to take the kind of risk that entrepreneurs, they don't understand it. They don't have the capacity. They will do all the credit analysis and all that to make sure that they are more comfortable with big business. They go to sleep. But they don't understand small business, because the same amount of money they use in chasing small business, they will even use more money to chase small business to repay back their loan than to chase the big businesses. So, take an example from Israel. We need to begin to raise money channel for small business should be through the bank, but banks should hand it over to private equity firms. We should encourage people to set up private equity firms, venture capital firms, so that they can actually You know what they did? Israel has the highest concentration of entrepreneurial businesses, small businesses, today. Why? If an Israeli entrepreneur has an idea today, by tomorrow he's starting it. How does that happen? The venture capital firm is there with money to be able to finance that business, okay? That business idea. So you find that they set up business, American firms will come and buy and all that. And that is helping the economy. And most of those entrepreneurial businesses, they are coming from the military, the Israeli military. 90% of those people who set up businesses are from the Nigerian military, Israeli military. What is our own military doing?
Yeah, but can the banks run that unilaterally without the CBN giving some sort of backbone? Because some of them tell you, look, the reason why they don't give that long-term loans is because they get the short-term from the CBN.
No, because one is that, apart from that, the thing is that how many venture capital firms do we have in this country, truly speaking? Dangote gave about 75 billion to finance small business. And what did they do? He handed it over to Bank of Industry. They don't even understand. It's being run like a conventional this thing. They don't understand risk. They don't understand the kind of risk a small business takes.
So that looks like that's a key factor here.
That's a key factor.
Because the risk aspect of
Yes, the risk factor. Because a businessman will think, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. A banker that has never done any business, has never experienced anything, that now begin to analyze. The former CBN governor, I read in the papers that when he was with UBA or so, and a small businessman submitted a proposal for the bank to finance. He was a credit analyst. I'm talking about Lamido Sanusi. And he wrote on that paper that the risk, as an analyst, a risk analyst, he said that he rejected it. The man took the same paper to First Bank. Unfortunately for the businessman, Sanusi also moved to First Bank. He just wrote, tell the owner of this paper that the man that rejected it before has also rejected it again. What do you expect that kind of person? Because they don't understand how they think.
This is a little different. I mean, we're looking at close to 220 billion naira they're raising capital for this Council of Micro, Medium and Small Enterprises. And they also have some state governors, represented on the board. Their task is to get that money to the smallest person, the person, the vulcanizer, the perpetrator, to ensure that those people have access to loans.
The thing is, again,
don't you see them making some way? To be able to get that.
They're jumping the gun. They're jumping the gun. First of all, they need to educate the people. How many of them have banking relationship? Figures some time ago showed that about 10% of Nigerians have access to banking relationship, one form or the other.
You're saying that...
So they need to educate the people to have a banking relationship.
Are you saying that it has to be done formally? Because some people will say that, do we have to go through that route? Can't we go through the route that the people already go through? For instance, the local ajo collector, the person who collects thrifts from these business people. Because you find out that all the businesses, most of them do this thrift collection. Can't we go through that particular route to be able to monitor, to ensure that people who get access to these funds are able to get them back, and to ensure that they even get the funds in the very first place?
Now, the thing is that, look, there's one company that did something, I think it was P&G, Procter & Gamble, when they entered, or one of the companies I read, because they didn't want a situation where those that collect their goods, they want to sell, but they don't want to give credit line. So what they did was to begin to get these major people to establish a banking relationship, met with one of the banks, gave them money, guaranteed this thing. Look, you give these people loan, they will collect our goods, we back it up. They pay the management fees and all that. But they also went further, supply computers to this market, and Idumota, Balogun, Idumota, so that their children, those that are not literate enough, their children began to key in some of those things to have a very structured this thing. And that way, the default reduced for them.
But they were looking at distributors.
Yeah.
I mean, the companies will only deal with distributors. Here, we're looking at people as micro, as pepper sellers, as vulcanizers.
Yeah.
And we're looking to be able to get them access. I mean, will everybody own, say, a computer? If okay, maybe a phone, they will use a phone or they can use a phone. But don't you see another means through which they can actually access these people without going? Because sometimes the formality of owning a relationship with the bank puts some people off.
Now, because, and I'm not taking only the bank alone. Even if all these people, they need to be enlightened so that they understand what they're doing. Now, they might collect this money. Something might happen. They begin to harass, My nephew collected from a microfinance bank to pay off, to pay off a balance of a transaction. In fact, he almost died in my hand. I ended up paying off that money because he himself didn't understand even the charges that they gave him. And they kept on threatening him, if you don't pay, I'm going to kill you and all that. And I said, okay, I sent a lawyer to negotiate with the banks. And they couldn't even listen to, because the challenges that small businesses go through, the people giving this money should be trained so that they will understand